say we go in three. Three.
A Detroit cop is paired with a crime-fighting operating system in Robocop. The new thriller is a remake of an 80s action classic, and your movie friend Aaron Dicer joins us this morning. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome, Linda. It's good to be here.
Yeah, let's get started. For those of us unfamiliar with the story,
sure.
What's it all about?
Well, it is a Robocop. It is a policeman who is a robot.
Okay,
that's basically
sense.
How you would sum it up. Of course, this is a remake of the film that came out in the 1980s. It's kind of a toned-down version of that film, PG-13 instead of rated R, but follows basically the same elements. Policeman is in a horrific accident. They use robotics to replace basically his entire body, and that gives him, of course, super strength and tactical power, and so he uses that to not only solve crimes in the city of Detroit, but solve his own mystery as well.
Okay, now fans of the original are questioning whether it needed a remake. Is this a worthwhile story for today's audience?
You know, I think they did try to do something a little different here, which is what I mentioned. They toned it down a little bit, which gives it a little more accessibility maybe than the original had. Plus, you know, the sensibility of movies has changed over years, and so to see kind of that 2014 version of what this movie would look like, I think can add something to even somebody who enjoyed the original.
Okay, and lots of great actors in this one. Gary Oldman, Joel Kinnaman, Michael Keaton. Anyone stand out for you?
Yeah, Joel Kinnaman is great. You may know him from AMC's The Killing, and he is really, really good in this role. Shows emotion, which for, you know, kind of a robotic cop you wouldn't necessarily think was a big deal, but it is. But Michael Keaton is really interesting in this movie. I'm so glad to see Michael Keaton back on the big screen. He just has a really interesting way of playing this role, and, you know, at times I wasn't sure whether I liked it or not. Sometimes it was great, sometimes it kind of was over the top for me, but I think it was maybe more good than bad for him.
Okay, and the original had some pretty extreme violence. Did the PG-13 rating tone down the violence for this one?
As mentioned, it did, although I do want to make an additional note to that. The violence is still there. This is high on the violence level for PG-13, and in fact, some of the scenes are a little bit, I guess the word maybe would be grotesque, you know, because you're dealing with, you know, what it's like to put part of a human into a robot suit. So, you know, there's kind of some scenes where you're like, you know, but so it's still there even though it is toned down, certainly from the original.
Okay, let's get to the best, worst, and overall grade.
Sure, yeah, best thing I would say, I'm going to go ahead and go with Michael Keaton for the best thing. I think he was incredible to watch in some of these things. For worst thing, also Michael Keaton. Some of his scenes were also really, really over the top.
Okay.
And as far as an overall grade goes, B-.
Okay, okay. Well, couples looking for something a bit more romantic might be interested in our next movie. Colin Farrell and Jessica Brown Findlay star in Winter's Tale, a supernatural drama based off of a 1983 novel. Now, previews make this one look a little complicated with characters living in the past and present.
Yeah, as you look at that, you look at a movie, I think, that is based in the supernatural, and so if you go into this movie knowing that, I think you'll give it a little more grace. But yeah, this is a really complex tale, and it's one of those movies that feels like they tried to squeeze a really expansive world of a book into a movie and just couldn't quite fit everything in. So it feels a little congested, you get a little confused as to why characters are motivated to do certain things that they're doing. It just feels like there's a lot of missing pieces here, and I walked away from this one not quite understanding exactly what was going on.
Right, so the overall tone's a little interesting there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay. It's a little bit mixed.
And in the end, is this a good one for couples to check out?
For Valentine's Day, you know, there's a few other options, but this might be the one to check out just because of the acting. Colin Farrell's great, Russell Crowe, Jennifer Connelly, Will Smith. I mean, you've got some big names here that are in it, so yeah, you might want to see this one. I wouldn't go in expecting a great movie, but if you go in just expecting a date movie with some interesting twists and turns, then you'll be all right.
The guy and the girl can both agree to hopefully get through it.
Well, maybe the girl more than the guy on this one.
Yeah,
but
okay.
I'm just, you know, that's kind of a given for Valentine's Day, right?
Right, that's right.
Much.
You sacrifice a little for love, right?
That's exactly right.
And let's get to the best, worst, and overall grade for this one.
Yes, best thing, I would say Downton Girl. That's Lady Sybil from Downton Abbey is the girl who plays the main girl in this, and she's great in this. Her name is actually Jessica Brown Findlay, and she's really, really incredible. Worst thing, I said silly string, and what I mean by that is there's a string of this movie that is just a little bit silly. The sense of humor doesn't work, the tone is a little off, and so it just gets a little too silly for me for its own good. Overall, Well, I'd say a little bit less than mediocre, C-.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
So don't get your hopes up too much on that one. But.
Yes, exactly. And I would say there's a couple more movies out this week, and if you want full reviews, they are at the KY3 site.
Great.
They should be up here in the next day or two.
Yeah, definitely. Don't forget to check out our movie section on ky3.com, and you can find all kinds of movie reviews by our friend Aaron Dicer. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
You're welcome.
Well, still to come on our Ozarks Today Weekend Edition, Felicia joins us with one more look at our forecast, including our weekend highs and if we might see showers this afternoon.